Welcome to Sports from the Couch.
I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
With your host, Mike Mercado.
Players cannot stand him. Coaches cannot stand him. Most importantly, the fans can't stand him.
Brought to you by Mercado Airwaves.
I'm gonna say it once, and hopefully I'm wrong, but it's a disaster waiting to happen.
That is so bad, that is absolutely brutal.
Hello and welcome into another edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day. It is Monday, January 4th, 2021. It is the first show of the new year, and we got to talk about that beatdown the Green Bay Packers gave the Chicago Bears, the playoff-bound Chicago Bears, and of course, everything that came with that matchup, including who the Bears are going to have a date against in the NFC playoffs, the wild card weekend that begins this Saturday. But before we get to all that, let's take care of some housekeeping notes. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media, and the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you can get ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Check us out at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And if you would like to keep up to date with everything we're doing on the network, from the true crime show, the pop culture show, all the interviews, and everything in between, follow us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves.
You know, I'll start off with the game in regards to how everything went. You know, you get to the fourth quarter against this team, and you have that 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, then 4th and 1, 11 minutes to go, and a touchdown puts you ahead. And I thought that for really up until that point, we thought that, game plan wise, it was really going how you want it to go. And in the fourth quarter to be right there, we just got to get that 4th and 1, and that bothers me that we didn't. So we as coaches, and we'll do a better job there, making sure we get that. And then all of a sudden, they go down and they get 2 touchdowns and make it 35-16. Red zone, not good enough. 1 for 5 in the red zone. You can't play the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and kick field goals. We have to get touchdowns. There's no other way. And then he's 4 for 4 in the red zone. We had 6 fourth down conversions, which is probably more than we had all year long. Time of possession against this team is what we wanted. We had 35-24 time of possession, and that's hard to do against them. Our defense to come out in the third quarter there and to get that 5 and out and that 3 and out. If you get an opportunity he throws you a ball. I'd love to be able to, make that an interception with 2 or 3 of those that we had. We didn't, but we did get off the field, so I give credit there. Again, red zone for them was good. Red zone for us was bad offensively. And so, being in that locker room afterwards, this is my first time where you lose a game, but yet you find out that you're in. And so the message to the team is this: it's okay to feel like crap right now. We put a lot of time and effort and energy into winning this football game, and it sucks when you lose. But that said, feel it tonight, understand it. But no one's going to take away what these players did to work back these last 3 weeks to put ourselves in a position to make the playoffs. And they did that. And there's no one that's going to take that from those players and the coaches. So here we are. We feel it tonight. We wake up tomorrow morning and that thing's in the rearview mirror. We got to lock in. We got to get ready for the Saints, who's a hell of a football team. We're in it. And again, now anything can happen.
Okay, friends, the Chicago Bears fall to the Green Bay Packers 35-16 at Soldier Field, ending their season at 8-8 and still finding a way to reverse or backdoor into the NFC playoffs. The Green Bay Packers, with that win, clinched the number 1 seed at 13-3. So many things to get into, and we'll break it all down, but just a quick thought about it. It's interesting to see how these NFC playoffs have played out. It's going to be interesting to see how teams have to go to Lambeau Field, how teams handle this extra game. Normally there's 2 teams that get a bye week. This year only the one because of the extra team due to the COVID season. So the Packers have that bye week along with the Kansas City Chiefs over in the AFC. So 2 teams with real home field advantage when it comes to the elements and in one case the crowd. So fascinating stuff in both conferences and some fascinating stuff in this game, 35-16 at Soldier Field. Let's talk a little bit about some stats before we do what we do best here on Sports from the Couch, where we just talk about some of the big stories that happened during this game. Aaron Rodgers, 19 for 24, 240 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Could have been 5 if it wasn't for a big drop with a big play. Aaron Jones, 11 carries, 42 yards. Jamal Williams with 5 carries for 26 yards. Aaron Jones did have a rushing touchdown. And then, of course, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 receptions, 87 yards, and a huge touchdown. Should have had another had he held onto the ball. And like they said on the broadcast, he's one of these dudes that just leads the league in air yards. And anytime he does touch the ball, it's usually for a big play and a touchdown. Devonte Adams, 6 catches for 46 yards. Kept in check, did have a touchdown. I mean, that was bound to happen when Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball all around. Robert Tonyan had 2 catches for 18 yards and a touchdown. I think they said that was his 11th touchdown of the season, which is crazy because he doesn't get a lot of targets, but they're all in the red zone. So obviously that's going to help him out. Dominique Daphne also with a touchdown for the Green Bay Packers, his only catch of the day. So a dominating performance for that offense, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, how that was probably the biggest upsetting thing for me in that game. Really fast on the other side for the Bears, Mitch Trubisky, 33 of 42, 252 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception, a bad interception. I mean, he threw the ball 42 times. That's crazy. I mean, I guess that's just kind of how the game went, and you only score 16 points. We'll talk about all that in a little bit. David Montgomery touches the ball 22 times, 69 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney with a career game, 11 receptions for 93 yards. David Montgomery catches 9 balls with 63 yards. Cole Kmet, 7 catches, 41. And Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Jimmy Graham, all one thing in common. All 3 of them only caught 2 touches with the football. 37 yards for Allen Robinson, 13 for Anthony Miller, and 5 for Jimmy Graham. So that's the stats. That's how we got to 35-16 with a Packers win, a division win, an NFC number 1 seed for the Green Bay Packers at 13-3. Bears 8-8. Let's talk a little bit about some stuff that I saw throughout the game that I need to hit on, that I need to talk with you, my friends, here on Mercado Airwaves Sports from the Couch, the community that we love so much. First of all, it started off right. You know, there was some encouraging things when you see that the Bears go down the field, score a touchdown, take up so much of the clock that it was impressive. And you're like, oh, maybe they figured something out. And then David Montgomery is balling out. It looks like they've hit a new gear when it comes to this patchwork that they've done with the offensive line and David Montgomery running the ball. It's a different purpose. Then he gets injured. And it looked really bad. I don't know about you guys. I mean, obviously, it always looks bad when it comes to when a body part goes in a direction it's not supposed to. But that looked like one of those injuries where, like, well, that's him for the game, maybe for the rest of the season, however long that goes for. But he came back and he scores a touchdown. Beast. Absolute beast. And you would have thought that, you know, I still would have fed him more of the ball. I still would have given him more than 22 touches, but that's just me. I'm crazy. The real thing on offense that is just mind-boggling is what happened on 4th down. And Allen Robinson. It's a microcosm and a macrocosm of this Bears organization and team. There were a lot of pieces that were brought in to make big plays. So when you've gone, 4 for 4, 5 for 5 on 4th down, and you needed this 4th down, the play breaks, and you kind of just throw the ball to Allen Robinson. Jimmy Graham isn't around to make a play. And the thing about that is you bring in Jimmy Graham, you invest a bunch of money, $8 million, $11 million, and it's not designed for him. You only need a couple of yards. Let's get to this Allen Robinson thing. I can live with the fourth down thing, though. You had to go for it. It didn't matter. The play was a bad play call, but you had to go for it on fourth down. It is what it is. The Allen Robinson thing, though. I don't know how in the biggest game of the season, arguably the biggest game in your regime, and Allen Robinson only has 2 catches. That should be unacceptable in any other scenario. He needs to be game plan. And you don't tell me that the Green Bay Packers had the perfect game plan for him. If that was the case, everybody else should have been open. Everybody else should have been capable of making a huge play. That didn't happen. So it can't be that they were triple teaming him, they were double teaming him, that the scheme was just that unbendable, unbreakable. Maybe the guy with the ball can't read a good defense, an average defense. This was the argument that we were having leading into this. Look it, we'll talk about the playoffs, and I don't want you to be bummed out that your favorite NFL team is in the playoffs. I'm excited for it. At least there's playoff football in Chicago. But you have to call a spade a spade. This Bears team got to this position by beating the teams they were supposed to. Got to give them that. The thing is, there's a reason why they were supposed to beat those teams. And then when an actual challenge comes in your way, some adversity, and not just adversity, but the type of adversity that can change the minds of a lot of people, could change the will of a lot of people, can possibly change momentum, whatever that is, however tangible that is, for your team moving forward. And that's what you displayed. That was the game you showed up with. That's how you get Allen Robinson with 2 catches? That's how you get a bad fourth down call? I mean, Cole Kmet has a bad fumble, but plays like a dog out there. But it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And I can harp on this offense. I can. We should. I mean, they had everything on the line and nothing good came of it. Nothing changed. But what happened on the side of the defense was what we mentioned last week on Sports from the Couch. You could not afford to have that defense go out there and not make the big play, but straight up choke on them. This Bears defense, this once elite defense, had how many opportunities to take the ball away from Aaron Rodgers? 3 different times. One of them was a nice play. I give him a break there. Eddie Jackson, somebody who got paid, somebody who is a good player. No interceptions this season. Akeem Hicks, how much pressure did you see up the middle against the Packers? They did, and this is the most upsetting thing about this defense against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers put up 4 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers was crafting them up. Was a precise doctor with a scalpel on the operating table against this defense in the first half. That second half, they made him uncomfortable. He made mistakes. He allowed the Bears to be in this game. But when you needed it the most, when you needed something special to happen, when all the assets from draft picks to money are on that side of the field, and you need it to make the big play, when Aaron Rodgers, the probably MVP of the season, is giving you the game, it slips between your fingers. When the guy who doesn't throw interceptions is throwing them right at you. I can forgive that broken play blitz when Aaron Rodgers hit Scatling for that huge play and you have Danny Trevathan trailing him. I can forgive that. It's blown coverage. It was a bad mistake, but they went for it. It is what it is. It was a big play. It changed the game. No doubt. It's the same thing as the fourth down. I don't like the call, but you had no choice. You went for it. It is what it is. I can't forgive not executing when it's just you and the ball. When you had 3 different opportunities at it. Let's just say 2.5 to be fair. And it's when the guys who have gotten paid, the guys who have made the most noise, the guys who, quite frankly, have carried your franchise. You got to give them credit. It is that is a fact. But the fact that they were the ones who had the opportunity to have the game on their shoulders and could put the win, possibly the win, on a silver platter for their offense, They couldn't do it. And this has been a thing for 2 years now with this organization. They do have special players. They do have guys that you would think on paper when you're playing Madden are superstars. You'll hear their names every once in a while. But did they do anything to change the game, to put the Bears in a place to possibly win? This defense hasn't done that, and they didn't do it this past week. And they haven't been able to do it against Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, every once in a while, they'll have some sacks, right? Every once in a while, they'll have a nice play on the running back. But when was the last time this defense has made a special play that changed the game, that gave the Bears not just the win, but put them in a position to win, let alone win the game? Look, I ride and die with this defense because they're the ones who even got you this far. But when I expect excellence, because you have told us that you're excellent, or at the very least, the equivalent of how excellent you can be in this type of sport, in this world, then that's what we're expecting from you. And we haven't seen it in almost 2 years. And it cost them again. It cost them a playoff game against Philadelphia, and it almost cost them the chance to get to the playoffs. And if it wasn't for a fluke injury to Kyle Murray and COVID-19, the Bears wouldn't have been in the playoffs. 8-8, they wouldn't have been in the hunt for anything. They miss the division by 5 games? They're the team that benefited from this extra wild card team, from this pandemic NFL season. And the frustrating thing is what potentially can happen in that game. Because I have something to tell you guys. The Packers are one thing. The New Orleans Saints are something completely different. And before we get into too far into the weaves of that, putting a rest to this season, putting a rest to this game, I think what we learned is that the Bears were able to beat the teams that they were supposed to. And when they were in a position to really make some noise in the NFC, in the NFL, they fell flat on their face. And they made rash decisions, rush decisions. Whether I think Mitchell Trubisky is the truth or not, whether I think Nick Foles is, it doesn't matter. They rushed the decision, they made a bad one, and it really was a turning point against the New Orleans Saints, a team that they could get revenge on. But how close are you? I don't even want to talk about the rest of the NFC. There definitely is a fine line between 12-4 and 4-12. I get it. But how close are you to winning the division? Really think about it. How close are you to beating Green Bay? You're not. You're nowhere near beating them. So the season comes to an end, and yeah, it's going to be fun to have playoff football. And I think there's a lot of reasons why you should be excited for playoff football. But it doesn't mean that the season was a success. It wasn't. Circumstance got you to this position. And shout out to them for putting themselves in that position. But I don't know if you give it a passing grade to this season. Maybe it's to be determined. But it was a deflating loss to the Green Bay Packers. A lot of questions have been brought back up for people who might have been riding the fence. And I think a lot of confirmed opinions happened after that afternoon game. But they find a way into the playoffs. The Packers get the number 1 seed. And it was 2 ass kickings in a row by the Packers to the Bears, ending the 2020 season, though. We see both these NFC North teams into the playoffs. The Packers beating the Bears 35-16. Let's move a little bit forward to, though, this matchup of Saints versus Bears. Remember, these two teams played earlier on in the season, going to overtime. The Bears lost to the Saints 23-26 back in November, and I have to be honest with you guys, I'm not making my picks right now, but if you want early predictions of how I think this might play out, I think the Bears are in this damn game. I think they're a live dog. And as we know, they're going to be on CBS Amazon Prime, and Nickelodeon, baby. Nickelodeon. So Bears Saints on Sunday, which means Alvin Kamara will be playing. He played the other game, though, and he did carve up this Bears defense when he got the ball. Here's the thing. Who knows what's going to happen with Michael Thomas? I think playing in the dome probably is better for this Bears offense, all in all. And I think this Bears defense will respond. I'm not going to start making my predictions right now of how I think this game is actually going to play out. But if you're looking for any type of optimism, you have to think this as prolific as this Saints offense is. It's not the Green Bay Packers. It's still one of the all-time great quarterbacks. There are still awesome weapons, but they don't do the same things Green Bay does. They find ways to put points on the board, but it's not going to be the way Green Bay did. And this Bears defense is more suited to play against a quarterback who can't get the ball down the field the same way Aaron Rodgers can. And they do find a way to contain Alvin Kamara the best they can because he's going to get his. They did kind of keep Aaron Jones in check, all things being equal, being considered, you know. I think there's a good chance that the Bears are in this game, that they're a live dog, and that you as a Bears fan should be excited for it. But just because all that is true doesn't make it right or doesn't make it popular. It doesn't mean that anybody has to take this medicine, excitedly. What I can say, what I can suggest to you listening to us here today, starting the new year, 2021, as a Bears fan, is enjoy Wild Card Weekend. Enjoy the Saturday games. Enjoy the first afternoon game on Sunday. And then sit back, relax, have your favorite food, a beverage, and be safe while you watch maybe the Bears finally put it all together. All that investment, all that draft capital, and put it on display against an offense that is really good but can be had, especially with this defense. And if this Bears offense can find a way to get some speed on that track, and David Montgomery with that offensive line are able to keep their momentum, you'll be in this game against New Orleans. I'm not saying you're going to beat them. I'm not saying that right now. I think you're in this game much better than if it ended up the other way, where you would be playing the Packers for a third time. Now, if you find a way against New Orleans and you beat them in the Big Easy, you have to go up to Lambeau. But that might as well be 2022 looking down the map. The one thing you have to do is take care of business. And again, I'm challenging this defense. Everybody, from fans to critics, this defense needs to make special plays. This defense needs to be special. And they get one more opportunity to save everybody's job, to solidify their legacy, and to give themselves another chance of revenge as the Bears go to New Orleans to play the Saints in Wild Card Weekend. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think about the Bears versus the Packers? Did you think the Bears were going to win? Did it kind of go the way you expected? What do you think about the matchup between the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears? A pretty fun little rivalry between these two teams in the playoffs. It's interesting to see how it plays off in the pandemic. Extra wild card team. NFL playoff bracket starting this Saturday all over the networks that we watch our favorite sports. Let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram Mike Mercado Media, and of course the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. That'll do it for us on this edition of Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget, you can follow us all over the universe. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike M Media. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. And the show's on Twitter at Couch Sports Talk. Like, rate, review, and share us wherever you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Become a producer of the show at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home to our interviews with athletes and celebrities that you can get ad-free and before anybody else. That's patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Mercado Airwaves Network. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. We have swag. Check us out at teespring.com/Mercado Airwaves. And if you would like to keep up to date with everything we're doing on the network, from the true crime show, the pop culture show, all the interviews, and everything in between, follow us on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy all the games. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on the Mercado Airwaves Network. I'm Mike Mercado.